You push the carton away. I'm full, you say. Your hand doesn't get the memo. It goes back in. Finds one more fry. If your body already said stop, why does this still feel like a good idea? The obvious suspects show up fast. Maybe it's the salt. Maybe it's the fat. Maybe it's some dopamine hit, wiring your brain to crave it. Here's the problem. None of those on their own actually explains what just happened. Salt makes things taste better, up to a point, and then more salt doesn't help. Fat adds richness, but fat alone isn't the whole story either. And dopamine isn't what you think it is. We'll get there. The real answer isn't one ingredient. It's a system. And it starts with the fry itself. Cut a fry in half mid-fry, and you're watching physics at work. Heat drives water out of the potato's surface as steam. As that surface dries out, it gets thin, rigid, brittle, a crust. Meanwhile, the inside is doing something completely different. The potato starch is absorbing heat and moisture, swelling, softening. It stays soft precisely because the crust is sealing moisture inside. That's why a fry is never just one texture. It's two back-to-back in every single bite, a fracture, then a collapse. Crunch, then give. Your mouth never settles into one sensation long enough to get bored. But texture is only half the payload. That dry, hot crust is also where flavor gets built. Sugars and amino compounds in the potato react at high heat. That's the Maillard reaction, the same browning chemistry behind toast, seared steak, and roasted coffee. It produces a huge range of aroma compounds. Toasted, roasted, nutty, savory notes, dozens of them at once. And here's something worth sitting with. Most of what you call fry flavor isn't really taste. Your tongue can only detect a handful of basic qualities: salty, sweet, sour, bitter, umami. Almost everything else you're experiencing is smell, released as you chew, traveling up the back of your throat into your nose. The oil helps carry those aroma compounds straight there. So a fry isn't just seasoned potato. It's a two-stage texture built by water loss, wrapped around a cloud of engineered smell. Here's where it gets more interesting than fat and salt taste good. In a controlled human study, researchers had people bid, actual money, on familiar foods that were mostly fat, mostly carbohydrate, or both fat and carbohydrate together. The combination foods weren't just liked more. People valued them more than a fat-only or carb-only food with the exact same calories. Brain scans showed heightened activity in reward-related regions specifically for the fat plus carb foods. A fry, starchy potato fried in oil sits almost exactly in that sweet spot. But the deepest answer isn't about the food at all. It's about what's happening in your brain while you eat it. Dopamine gets called the pleasure chemical constantly. That's not quite right. Dopamine is much more tied to wanting, motivation, craving, the drive to get the next bite, than to liking, which is the actual pleasure you feel while eating it. These are related, but they're not the same system. Which means this is possible. Your wanting can stay high even while you're liking. Your actual enjoyment, bite to bite, is quietly dropping. You're not chasing the same pleasure you started with. You're chasing a motivation signal that hasn't caught up with how much you're actually still enjoying it. That's the gap. That's why, I want more, and I'm still loving this aren't always the same sentence. Now add the environment. This part isn't subtle, it's some of the strongest evidence we have. In controlled studies, giving people 50% larger portions increased how much they ate by 16%. Doubling the portion pushed intake up by 26%. Same food. Same hunger. Just more sitting in front of them. Fries make this easy to act on. Small pieces, fast to chew, fast to swallow. And, usually, a lot of them right there in front of you the whole time. Fullness is a slow biological process. The next fry is an instant decision. One of those is faster than the other, and it isn't fullness. So here's the actual answer. It was never one ingredient. It's the crust-then-soft bite. It's the Maillard aroma riding the oil into your nose. It's a fat and carb combination your brain values more than either alone. It's a wanting signal that can outlast the pleasure that started it. And it's a portion that keeps presenting the next bite before fullness finishes catching up. None of this means fries are secretly addictive in the way a drug is. That's a much bigger, more contested claim than the evidence here actually supports. What it does mean is simpler, and honestly more interesting. An ordinary potato fried in oil has become an extremely well-engineered delivery system. For crunch, for softness, for aroma, for a reward your brain rates highly. And the next one is always sitting right there. If this made you look at your next fry a little differently, that's kind of the whole point of this channel. Hit subscribe if you want more of these. And if there's a food question that's been bugging you, drop it in the comments. It might be the next one we dig into.